A few years ago, there was a trans woman who gained her popularity by making hour-and-a-half-long videos criticizing me, critiquing me in the worst ways possible. And when she got popular enough for simply hating on my content, calling me a bigot, calling me a transphobe, basically hopping on the Ariel is transphobic wagon, she deleted all of said videos, acting like, oh, like, you know, I just got popular off of my own merit, not of hating on somebody else. She was, and for the most part will always be, my biggest hater. And today, for the first time in 6 years of this person making videos about me, I'm gonna respond to her. Because I'm sick of the lies and I'm sick of the bullshit.
Back then, when I was first starting to have these conversations with ariellescarcella about whether or not she is or isn't transphobic, people were still questioning that. And to be honest with you guys, a lot of the stuff that she was talking about was kind of in that gray area. So a lot of the way that I approached her was with this sort of understanding and belief that, you know, maybe she just doesn't know any better.
When making a video about trans guys, it's probably a good idea to listen to the opinions of trans guys and not ridicule them for correcting you on your terminology.
Okay, first lie of the video, I never compared butch lesbians to trans men. What I did say in this old video of mine, which is like 6-7 years old now, is that even though butch lesbians might look the same as trans men, because some trans men are pre-transition physically, that doesn't mean that they are the same thing. So people that are pre-testosterone or pre-top surgery or pre-anything might very well look similar to butch lesbians because they are doing their best to be masculine, but those butch women are not trans men. That's all I said, but obviously taken out of context, of course, whatever.
I felt sort of bad for Ariel whenever I was around her because I think she had some sort of collaboration channel forever ago, and every, you know, who's who and what's what of LGBTQIA+ YouTube was on her channel. There was a lot of people who just like straight up like didn't like her, but were tolerating her.
She's talking about a channel that I had in the past. It's actually still up, and I believe all the videos are still up as well. It's called Girlfriends TV. And each week, it was basically, it developed into a collab channel, and each week we had a different topic, and we would invite different guests of different sexual orientations or gender or whatever, different religious backgrounds even, onto the channel to talk about certain issues. What I'm curious about is how the people coming onto my channel who I invited who didn't like me is somehow my fault. I would write the topics out. I would write a list of things that I wanted to talk about, things I wanted to say. I would write somewhat of a script for them as well, and if they didn't like it, they had the opportunity to change the wording, and many of them did, and it was great. So basically, I got their approval for these videos going out, and somehow I am still the wrong. You just can't win with these people. You can't.
We had this convention called PrideCon. This convention never ended up actually happening. In conjunction with that, people were trying to collaborate and come together, and there's this house in the Hollywood Hills called The Castle. It is a place where a lot of people shoot videos and things, and a bunch of us had been invited to some sort of thing up there. Now, I did not know this at the time, but the thing that was happening in the castle that day was actually a promotional shoot for ariellescarcella.
This is also not true. I didn't know that this specific shoot was even going on until the day before. I was approached by someone who was approached by a brand who wanted to make a video about coming out 360 in 360 degrees. They wanted to do the first ever 360 degree video on YouTube, like where you can like go like this and basically pick a spot, turn it around, and you can see whoever was on the edge of that other, you know, part of the 360 camera. I was asked to head the brand deal, the sponsorship, to hire people who were already invited to this house, who I thought would be best for this collab opportunity. And I didn't pick Kat because I didn't think she was the best fit. But the guy who planned on filming this all, who had this sponsor in mind, brought all of those other people to his house, regardless if they were chosen for the project or not. Kat, again, was one of those people.
I would have not come to this if I knew that, but honestly, there are a lot of people from out of town who I wanted to interact with, so I went and had a relatively good time. She shot her ad or whatever, and then everyone else was shooting videos, and at some point somebody did wanted to do a blind kissing test where like you would put blindfolds on and you would kiss them. I forget if it was on the lips or if it was on the cheeks or whatever. But it was an intimate thing. So she'd asked me to be in this video, long story short. And I said no, low key, because I just don't want to kiss girls. I mean, I'm just to be fucking honest. I didn't want to kiss women. I don't No.
This is also a stretch. You see how she casually just like puts that on the side of the video there? Like, it's just casual dig, casual dig. This is the first video in the 7 years or 6 years of you making content about me, Kat, that I've ever decided to respond back. I have never made a video about you. I've never publicly even spoke about you without directly tweeting to you. And also, it wasn't even a video for my channel. It was actually a video for, at the time, my friend Amber's Closets channel. And we kissed people on the cheek. I feel like you do that with your mom. Like, it wasn't that big of a deal, but like, whatever. And honestly, I asked Kat to be in it because I didn't want her to feel left out, and it was my way of being like, listen, we've had our disagreements. We are a bigger, part of the community. We need to start getting along type of thing. It was basically my way of being like, hey, you're welcome here. Of course, as long as you're not a but for somebody to see that as predatory is just another level of victimization. If I was to call you predatory in that video, where clearly everyone around that was in the video was all about it, too much of a reach, but okay.
And I think that she thought, the way that she kind of framed it to me is it would be kind of like a way for both of our fan bases, I guess, to see that like we were cool with each other. But my thing is this, we weren't cool with each other. So like I wasn't gonna like fake the funk. And I'm really glad that I didn't. Fast forward to where we are now, I would absolutely hate to have footage of me out there somewhere kissing Ariellescarcella. I've never been as invested in other creators as other people are. You know what I mean?
Okay, you've never been invested. You would make 1.5 hour long videos about me like every other week for like 2 years straight. Literally just stop.
Politics. I know that a lot of my issue with Arielle has been that I have never been a person who has like bowed down to her in the way that other creators have, because there are some people who I know who were friends with her, who I know don't like her, who, yes, she could say she helped out. Forever ago, I put her in a video, I got her on. She couldn't say that about me. So I had like no reason to like have allegiance towards her. Wanted to get into mess.
This is another terrible take, like bowing down to me. I mean, if that's how these people chose to see it, that's on them. I saw it as me helping very young creators out, getting them on the platform, or if they weren't young, they were beginner creators on the platform. If they had an issue with something, it was their choice to tell me or not. Again, that's not on me. And yeah, we did have quite a lot of topics and a lot of issues within these topics that we did not fully agree on, and we talked about those behind the scenes. And we still managed to stay friends throughout this all for about 2-3 years. You don't have to agree with every little thing to stay friends with them. That is pretty much mainly an issue that's only prevalent on the far left at the moment, and it was even so back then, but even more so now. If you didn't fully conform to what they wanted you to think or what they wanted you to say, you were outcast. Hello? Yes. That's called abuse.
I think that like, given what things were, I can understand why she went in this direction, because she was not liked by anybody. And meanwhile, while she was dipping her toes into some transphobic stuff, there were a bunch of people from that crew who were like, yes, please continue to talk about this. Please continue to support this. Please, you know what I mean? So she got support from that group of people.
This is a fair judgment, and it's sort of true. I didn't leave the left because people on that side didn't like me. I left the left because I no longer believed in what they were spewing, what they were teaching, what they were preaching. I no longer believed what they stood for. I can see why people who are still on that side, who are on the far left, I can see why that they would think this of me. It could look like that for people who are over there still.
I think that's fine. If you're a lesbian who defines yourself by your lack of interest in penis, I think that's incredibly fucking valid. Amen. Power to your sister. You know what I mean? My issue comes with this conversation. I think that some people want to define other people's sexualities by the way that they define their own. And while she, Arielle is somebody who is a lesbian who does not have sex with trans women, there are some who do, there are some who do. And I think that the problem becomes when people are like, oh no, if you're open to having sex with a trans person, you're this, and that. You're no longer that, and this.
And interestingly enough, I actually don't care if trans women call themselves lesbians. I even made a video about it, which is also still up. You can go and watch it. I'll have the link in the description below. A little thumbnail here. 2 trans women that presented as women. They were in a relationship a few years back, called themselves lesbians. I don't give a shit. Call yourself whatever the hell you want. What I care, and what I've always cared about, is them redefining the word lesbian, redefining the word woman, and then expecting me and other lesbians and other women to live by their new redefinition of the word. You know what that's called? That's called moving the goalpost.
Like I said, I've been making videos about this for at least 4 years. Look at this video. This is the first video I made on this topic, which was over 3 years ago with Blair White. The lesbians that they interviewed told Lowbridge that they felt a bizarre form of pressure to accept the idea that a penis can be a female sex organ. Penis can be a female sex organ. Suck the dick, bigot! I wonder what my neighbors think if they just hear me screaming things like that out once in a while I'm filming. I'm just, you know, I'm just gonna...
See, I mean, part of the thing that makes this conversation aggravating is I don't think there's anyone actually saying suck the dick, bigot. If there are, tell me who those people are, and let's listen to them.
There are plenty of them. Check turfisslur.com. Also, there are tons and tons of people who are not trans, who are just trans activists, or think that they're activists, or think that they're just good people or whatever, who are harassing biological women on the daily for not conforming to these new ideas.
This is where, and I disagree with this, I think the most people are saying is you should, you know, think about your attractions and question, you know, whether or not your rejection of trans people comes from a transphobic place. Which for me, I understand how that could be translated into pressure. I do, because for me, when people have that conversation, it's clear that the only conclusion they want to reach is one that says that trans women are attractive.
Thank you, Kat, for saying this. I completely agree, obviously. It does feel like pressure. It is pressure. And for someone like me, obviously, ain't gonna work, but I worry more for the LGBT teenagers that are walking around just figuring out their sexual orientations, figuring out what they like, what they don't like, and worrying what other people in the same vicinity as them think about it. And I have gotten countless messages from these types of kids, whether you want to believe it or not, Kat, that are bullied, that are outcast, that are criticized, that are torn apart simply because they do not want to be pressured into sleeping with a trans person. None of this means that those trans people in question aren't attractive. It simply means pressure is rapey and pressure is not okay. I do love that Kat actually went to turfisslur.com and looked into it for herself.
I punched TERFs with a bloody shirt, alright? TERFs can choke. So I hate shit like this. Like, I know why people say this shit. I get it, but like, it's not helping. Like, this shit doesn't look great. I think they just go around and they capture like people saying, be nice. Ooh. It's a bunch of like trans people saying some variation of suck my dick. The post that we just looked at, okay, disagree with all of them. None of them, from what I read, could be wrong, are sort of making this argument that lesbians need to suck their dick or else. None of them are good, and I'm not defending it, but none of those posts are really making that argument. They're saying TERFs fuck off. They're saying TERFs suck my girl dick, but they're not saying if you don't suck my dick, you're transphobic. I don't know if that's a thing I should be pointing out.
I mean, I guess I could kind of see how somebody saying suck my dick is basically just saying fuck off. At least that's what we would say in the 90s when I was growing up. We would say like suck my dick, like bye. Basically is like the new suck my dick. But either way, it's a horrible look for trans people, and people are gonna take it the way that you don't want them to take. I mean, I guess there's no right way for them to take it here. Either way kind of sucks. Pun not intended. Ew, no, let me not do that. Again, it does come across as pressuring and rapey. And Kat, also, there are still a ton of people, whether they're trans or just trans activists or whatever, just queer kids, I don't even know what they call themselves anymore. There are a ton of people that are still saying that you are a bigot or you are transphobic, you're a horrible person if you don't sleep with said trans person. They do still exist. And I know you know this. You just don't want to outright say it. I want to look at some of the comments on this video because the comments in Kat's videos are always just absolute trash. This one person said, trans women are predators that force themselves on lesbians, meaning like something that I would have said. Also, ariellescarcella tries to pressure a straight woman to kiss her on camera. Okay, so the person that they're referring to of me forcing to kiss them on camera is Blair White, who A, is a friend of mine, B, agreed to be in the video, and 3, if you look at the thumbnail, it's her hands grabbing my face, and somehow I'm pressuring her. Make it make sense. Side note, Blair White is gorgeous. She's hot. I would be honored if she kissed me. Just saying, we're friends. I'm like half kidding. This comment read, I think I remember you telling that story about Arielle years back. It struck me as uncomfortably ironic that she was trying to paint trans women as predators while pressuring you to participate in some weird kissing game when you didn't want to. Keep in mind that these same people who are super protective of trans women, not like Blair, who are predatory and who do say that you're transphobic for not sucking dick, are the same people who say that I was the one pressuring Kat because I asked her nicely if she wanted to be in this video. Telling someone that they're transphobic for not wanting to suck dick is not pressure, but asking someone to be on camera to kiss somebody else on the cheek for a fun video is pressure. I think I'm done with this for now. I don't want to make any more videos like this, but I wanted to make just this one because her videos do get a ton of views. Not that I'm gonna somehow convince anyone from that side that I'm a good person. People that watch me now know I'm a good person. It was just something that has been irking me for the last 6 years that I finally wanted to just get it out of my chest, get it out. I'm over it, I'm done, I feel better, and I will see you guys back here in a few days with a brand new video. Until then, I love you, love yourselves. Bye. Suck my dick. No, let me.